Burgundy Ballers, welcome back to another episode of the Ballin and Burgundy podcast. Yeah. And I know you guys thinking, man, not only is Justin missing, but we got two good-looking individuals down to my bottom screens. Well, Justin is not with us today. He is actually not working either. He is at home battling the COVID virus. So prayers up for him. Put the ones in the chat for you guys. And those who have gone through COVID, send your prayers and your thoughts out to Justin because it is no fun. He's had it for the past week. And apparently it ain't getting any better. But considering what week it is, we have got Alexis Kraft and Jake Bogan from the Downtown Rams podcast to come on with us and to probably give us a little shit talk, but also we're going to provide it back. So I can't wait. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you
it.
for having us.
No, thank you guys. I messaged Jake a little while back. I was like, hey, is there any way we could set this up? And talked with Alexis the past few weeks and we got it set up. So I can't wait to talk about it. But before we even talk about your LA Rams and our Washington Commanders, I want to talk about the other LA team and not the LA, not the Kings, not the Sacramento Kings. You know, I want to talk about those Los Angeles Chargers, 63-21. Your head coach fired, your GM fired, your defensive run game coordinator fired, and now your outside linebacking coach is your interim head coach. What in the world is going on with your sister franchise in the Chargers?
They don't have an owner. Their owner's poverty. I mean, to make it just to put it as blunt as possible, he's the worst owner in professional football, and it's not even close. And he didn't deserve to have a stadium. It's about as blunt as I could make that. I think it just trickles down. I mean, anytime you have Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert, I don't even know if it was Brandon Staley entirely. I just think it trickles down from the owner. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, they've had too much talent. It's inexcusable.
I agree. I mean, I feel very bad for Justin Herbert because I feel like he's had so much turmoil in his coaching system and his team since he's been there, and he's so talented, and they're just wasting him and hopefully not ruining him. I mean, I think we saw last night, if that's what happens when Justin Herbert isn't out there, then
I mean, look at Easton Stick's game last night. He wasn't even bad. They just got absolutely destroyed. I mean, I thought he played as well as you can expect him to play in a game where you lost 63-20. I mean, it's just, it's crazy, but you know,
I mean, numerous turnovers. The Raiders had 8 different players have a touchdown before the second half.
Yeah, AOC looked great. He did.
Yeah.
He looked great, but
if this is an indictment to say Antonio Pierce better stay on that coaching staff, that the next round of hirings, I don't know. Like, man, but he lost 3-0 last week and drops the best game in Raiders franchise history on a Thursday night football game. All right, then.
Yeah, no, I would bring him back. I think it really just depends on the coaches available. I mean, anytime you have a chance to get a Bill Belichick who will be available, Ben Johnson, who knows about the college ranks, some of those guys coming over. I mean, anytime that happens, there's always kind of it's a toss up. Like, okay, do we keep our coach? Do we not? This is not the first time the Raiders have been in this position. They did have Rich Bisaccia, who did well as an interim coach as well. A lot of the players, just like, Max Crosby. We interviewed the guy, for Christ's sakes. Max Crosby said last night, really vouching for him, like they need to bring him back. They did the same thing for Rich Bisaccia, and he wasn't brought back. He's on he's the Packers special team coordinator. So you never know how this thing is going to go, but I'm kind of rooting for Antonio Pierce. I have no quarrel with Arizona State or anything like that. I know a lot of Arizona State fans he rubbed the wrong way, but I think just in terms of, I'm a big believer in rooting for people that do their job correctly, and I think he's done his job correctly and deserves to kind of see it through.
I am on the same page. I was trying to think of something else to add on to what Jake said, but I'm on the same page. And I'm really interested to see if where Bill Belichick is going to go. I've been kind of scrolling through social media and just seeing the theories out there because I
go to the Bears.
He could. I mean, the Bears also need to fire their coach.
He's bad.
There's a lot of teams, I think, that probably are going to get rid of their coach in the offseason, but I am very interested. For some reason, I want to see a Belichick resurgence just for the drama of it. So I really want him wherever he goes next to do well. So I'm just kind of following it.
I think a lot of us fans here in Washington are rooting for him, but not rooting for him to come to Washington. If that makes sense. I think we have ideas of who we want as a coach. But I feel like the Chargers or the Bears would both be great options for him. But we're sort of hoping not here a little bit.
Yeah, do you have an idea of who you want?
Ideas. I think Ben Johnson and probably Mike Tomlin are the top two options in my opinion. But I feel like that's up for debate. There's talk about your coach, Sean McVay, leaving for another job, but I don't know if that'll really happen. So
bring him back.
I'll be as straightforward as possible because I have an in with the organization. Sean McVay ain't leaving.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, he's either retiring, which won't happen for 10 years, or like he's the Rams coach, like for the he's not leaving. He loves that job. It's probably the best job right now. Like if that were to become available, you have an owner that is willing to spend anything to win.
Yeah.
As we saw, you got the stadium, you're right on the NFL campus. It's in LA. The coaching staff is great. Just all of it. Sean is just in too good of a situation where he would not. I mean, it's kind of like when I hear Sean McVay rumors, I kind of think of it. I got the Kansas Jayhawk thing in the background. If you guys follow basketball, Bill Self at KU, everyone's always saying he's going to go to the NBA. I'm like, why would he go to the NBA? He has the best. It's the best college program, consistently since he got there.
Yeah.
He just wants to coach kids. He doesn't want to coach professionals. He wants to develop kids. He doesn't want to, coach LeBron James. There's just never been, an argument for him to go. And like, how much better does it get? Sean McVay's already been in 2 Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl in the last 2 years with this team. Like,
yep.
It's not like college football where you have like an Urban Meyer or something, coming from a smaller school, or, even going back to, college basketball with Rick Pitino at Rhode Island. Yeah. It's not like that. Like, I mean, you're really at the top. Like, there's nowhere else to go. So yeah, I don't see Sean McVay leaving. I know there are people that point to kind of, okay, well, Sean Payton, that's completely different. That's when, you get into kind of a situation where, okay, he's a little bit older. The Saints want to go in a different direction. He wants more money. They don't want to pay him that money. And they think it's more valuable to trade him away for picks, which I think it was. Yeah. So I think that's really what that comes down to. Same with Bill Belichick. He's older, and that's the thing. Like, New England just wants a clean split at this point. So does Bill. But I mean, Sean McVay is still the youngest coach in the NFL. He ain't going anywhere.
No, he won't go anywhere. It's the same argument that Deion Sanders has, is why would I go to the NFL, coach these grown ass men who are going to give me nothing but, crap and quit on me after 3 weeks, versus I can coach these kids. I can give them my 20 years of leadership. I've got my sons with me, and the moment they go to the league, either I go with them or I retire. And I think Harbaugh has the same argument as, why would I leave here, leave my family in Michigan, or bring them with me when I can make $40 million in 5 years coaching the Michigan Wolverines to possibly a national championship?
Hey, bring my man's Jim Harbaugh here to Washington.
There's definitely talk about that, whether he would want to in the first place, or if he would even be the best fit. But I think he might be an option worth considering if he does decide to come to the NFL. But I still doubt it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the best job Harbaugh will get if he does leave Michigan is Harbaugh to the Chargers. He loves him some Justin Herbert. He said it in the past. He has great talent, good draft picks. I mean, they're going to be 40 mil under the cap hit, which is crazy. But Harbaugh he had JJ McCarthy as his quarterback. JJ's not winning a Heisman. He's not winning, best QB in the nation. He's not in the top 5, but he's like average to good quarterback. He's the Brock Purdy of college football. He's good. He'll win you games, but he won't cost you games. Give him a Justin Herbert, a few first, it wouldn't cost him a whole lot, and because Spanos is going to want to spend money, even though they've probably got none in the bank. And that's you talk about Daniel Snyder was the worst owner. Jim Irsay has a claim to that. Jerry Jones has Spanos might be the next one up as worst
Dean
owner.
Spanos, no question. Yeah, I mean his sister's suing him because he doesn't know how to be a trust fund kid correctly. I mean, let's put it that way.
when it's that bad, that says enough. But
it's just awful.
it's awful. But to end this part, as my one of my favorite YouTubers, the Chisel Donuts, will say,
and now no charges, no.
But let's talk about your LA Rams and our Washington Commanders. December 17th, 4:05 p.m. out in Los Angeles, in the City of Angels, really in Inglewood, California, in SoFi Stadium, one of the nicest stadiums the NFL has ever just played in. It will be the host of the Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years after Vegas. 2027, which is not that far away if you think about it. It's almost 2024.
I mean that's gonna fly by.
Yeah,
I remember when it was like, wow, it's 2021. That's when SoFi Stadium's gonna have the Super Bowl. That's a while from now, and bam, sure enough, time flies, man.
And it was your Rams who won it.
It was. It was. I knew it once they got Stafford. I really just, I mean, I guess we could just start. Matthew Stafford. Have you guys been watching him this year? Yes. By the way, finally the statistical output is starting to match what we see on film.
Yeah.
It has taken a while for that to happen. Alexis, I know you can agree with that. It's why he's had 11 touchdowns the last 3 games. I mean, he was around, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Like, it wasn't great. But he really is starting to come on strong. The offense has an identity. They tried to get Cam Akers to be their franchise running back, and it did not work. Kyren Williams is the closest thing they've had since Todd Gurley.
And he's damn good.
He's so good. And I mean, first off, credit to this one over here, because she's the one that got me on to Kyren Williams back in his sophomore season. I did not know who he was. And she sent me, some stuff, and I was like, oh my God. Like, there was this one play specifically where he just goes right into a pile. There's 8 guys, and then just shoots out on the other end. And you're like, wow, that's just, just the leg drive and just the upper body strength and the lower body strength, the wherewithal to stay on your feet and finish that run. It's translated to the NFL because we see it week in and week out. And I think he's getting better each week.
Yeah.
It's actually just so fun to watch. I think really last week was his most impressive game because it wasn't, the explosive 158-yard performance against, the Cardinals. But what it was that it was showing you he can do it against anyone. It's not a matter of who he's facing. When you look at, 24% of the time he's facing, an 8+ man box.
Yeah.
He's able to go up against these guys, and he's leading the league in yards after contact, per carry. And it's just so impressive to watch him grow. And just the fact that he's already over 800 rushing yards when he's only played 9 games is just crazy.
And he had 4 more games to end the season.
Yeah. He's got to average like 40. What is it? 46, Alexis? 46 rushing yards.
Yeah, I think something like that, like 46 yards the last 4 games, and he'll hit 1,000.
Yeah, it's something 46. Like that. It might be 50 actually. I think it is 50 now I think about it.
Right about.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about a guy, 5th round pick, just like Puka Nacua, 5th round pick. These guys have just been absolutely massive for this team, and it's why, over the last 3 weeks, they're one of the best offenses in all of football. And it's crazy to say that because just watching this team, they don't feel like a dominant offense. But then you look and you're like, wow, they're really one of the more efficient offenses in the league. And Alexis and I are sitting here like, man, I didn't love this play call. I didn't love this play call. What are they doing? And they finished up against the Ravens in the cold, in the wind, on the road, scoring 31. So
it was a really good game.
Oh, it was one of the best of the year. It's a shame Patrick Mahomes and the Diva Chiefs had to ruin it. Everyone was talking about the Chiefs, and
they were.
No one talked about that game afterwards because of it.
No, it was a damn good game, and I watched a lot of it. And shout out, I think it was Tyler Wallace in overtime, just runs through that. The entire team is like, all right, let me see this sideline, and they go just jump into dude. I'm like, why isn't he playing on the Ravens starting offense?
Because they have such a weird receiving room. I feel like they have all of these random receivers. Like Tylan Wallace would probably be playing on a lot of teams like consistently.
Yeah.
And because of the way I feel like the Ravens have built their receiving room, he kind of gets put on the back burner, which, you got Nelson Aguilar out there, I think, a couple of times. The Ravens had him out there. And I was thinking, put Tylan Wallace out there instead. I think he's probably better at this point in his career, but we'll see.
It's weird what they do with that receiver room, but it's always been weird. I mean, back when they had your guy at Notre Dame, Miles Boykin as well, it's just like they don't really get guys involved consistently. That's why it was kind of weird when OBJ decided to go there. I'm like, you're getting 3 targets a game, right? Like it's really bizarre, but I think this year it's changed a little bit because you had Todd Monken inserted him as the new offensive coordinator, and Lamar's running more of a pro style offense than what we're used to seeing. And he's flourishing before our eyes. I mean,
it's working.
That's one of the best games I've ever seen from Lamar Jackson. And the other one of the best games I've ever seen from Lamar Jackson was against the Rams in 2019 at the Coliseum. So I don't know, maybe he's just a Ram killer, but just in general, I'm really impressed with just his mobility, but it's just, he keeps his eyes downfield. You beat yourself, you get yourself sacked. As soon as you drop your eyes, you're done. Like that's the thing. Like when I'm scouting quarterbacks coming out of the draft, if I see that a quarterback runs a lot, but like he puts his eyes down, he's basically a running back, right? He's not actually trying to throw. He's not, kind of setting up the defense like, oh, hey, I could do this. So you gotta keep this honest. And I could also do this. It's like, okay, I'm putting my head down, so everyone and their mother knows that you run the football instead of throwing it. And I think that's a big key if, between a scrambling quarterback and a mobile quarterback. And while Lamar Jackson can scramble, he's no longer just a scrambling quarterback. I mean, this guy makes plays off script and he uses his legs so well. I thought the 2-point conversion, Alexis, that he had, one of the best plays I've ever seen. I mean, he got absolutely drilled and he used a jump pass and threw it over. And that 2-point conversion is a big reason they were able to, even go to overtime. I mean, the Rams could have won the game on a field goal if they don't get that 2-point conversion. So yeah, he was huge. He's been huge. He's won an MVP. He was my number 1 quarterback coming out of that draft. I know all these people wanted to say he was a receiver, which is ridiculous, but it sucks to see him beat the Rams because it sucks, as somebody that covers the Rams and is a fan of the Rams, to see them lose. But I like seeing Lamar succeed. I think that's something that it's not like losing to your rival. I mean, you don't see the Ravens very often. There's a lot of respect there. Obviously OBJ very much showcased that. But yeah, Lamar has become one of the best, in football. And finally, it seems like that narrative that he's just a receiver playing quarterback has finally died off.
Yeah. And his talent is so diverse too. Like he's not good at one specific thing like a lot of other quarterbacks. Like Justin Fields, his main thing is running. Lamar can run maybe just as well, but he can also read a defense as one of the best in the entire league. He can make insane throws. He has some of the biggest arm strength. He puts it all together so well. And when combined with their offensive talent, it's what creates a really amazing offense. So props to him. It's happy to see him doing well after injuries and some time off. So good on him.
And this was Lamar playing without Mark Andrews too. He played with the Isaiah Likely, who's not a scrub. You're in the NFL for a reason. You can make some plays, and he made some good play. Likely's been good for a little bit. But yeah, not losing to your rivals. So that is the Washington specialty, is a losing to your division rivals, as we are 0-5. But yeah, your LA Rams 6-7, looking well coming to the last stretch of the season. Like I said, you guys play at home against us, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 1:05 over in LA and on the West Coast. I'm scared for this matchup because not only do I have K.WILLIAMS on my fantasy team, I have Puka Nacua on my fantasy team, so I need them to go off, but I also need my Commanders to win. So I'm a little
confused. Your fantasy team's gonna do well.
I mean, I'm in both consolation games, so it's not like I'm a top 4 seed. But no, you guys have an absolute squad, and I'm gonna list them off. Obviously, Alexis and Jake know where I'm going. For those who are tuning in, like, man, who the Rams have? Matt Stafford, dog. Kyren Williams, dog. Might be outside of CMC, might be the best running back in the NFC. I'd put money on that. You have Cooper Kupp, a former Triple Crown Offensive Player of the Year unit, and just coming off of it, recently coming off of injury, so he's finally getting back into form. Puka Nacua might now retake Offensive Rookie of the Year since Stroud is out this coming Sunday. He might retake it. He's been my pick, but I mean, we can all agree CJ Stroud is playing really good football outside of the Jets game, but back of the head, that's getting custom waiting to happen. Tyler Higbee is actually a good receiver. I want to say he's a world beater, or you've got a game plan for Tyler, but he will burn you. He will beat you. And then you have the greatest defensive tackle and a guaranteed Hall of Famer in Aaron Donald, with Sean McVay at the helm, a former Washington, then Redskins positional coach. Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared for this one. Andrew, Chris, I don't know about y'all, but I'm scared going. I don't get scared about a lot of games. This and San Francisco are the 2 games I'm most scared about.
This very, very scary offense matched with our very, very scarily bad defense. Right now, number 1 worst in the league is not going to be a good matchup, especially when you are pairing our linebackers with having to be ready in the run game with Williams, yet also be in coverage way too much of the time against Puka and Cooper. And then combining that with not having a defensive coordinator right now. I know we fired Jack Del Rio, and that was the right move. I still support it, but it's still going to be bad. We don't have a defensive coordinator. So I'm expecting a lot of points from the Rams, and I expect our offense to continue being as neutral and as mid as it has been under our atrocious offensive line. Yeah.
Chris, what are you thinking?
All right, let's get down to business. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Goddamn. 4-9 versus 6-7 on the road. We in Los Angeles. We in Hollywood. Ooh, yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. So, what do we need out of this Sunday? Obviously, we need a win because I ain't voting for my team to lose. I really don't care for draft picks at this point. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to, be higher in the draft. I don't care about that, though. I want a team win. No. What do we have to do this Sunday? We basically have to go out there. Not only do we have to get a win, but you have to contain Aaron Donald. You basically have to do what the Ravens did against Aaron Donald, and that was like they basically double teamed and triple teamed him pretty much the whole game.
The issue with that is that's going to leave our tackles isolated for a lot of game on islands.
Yep.
Well, see, here's the thing.
That's a big problem right there too.
Here's the thing, though. What you do with that is that you could bring in some tight ends, and have them, help out the offensive line a little bit. And plus, it something else that hurts us on this game is Brian Robinson basically our best running back on the team isn't playing
Ow.
on Sunday because of a hamstring injury. And it's gonna suck. But getting back to like stopping the Rams and stuff, you basically you're somehow gonna have to contain Cooper Kupp, Puka
NACUA.
Yeah. You're basically gonna have to somehow stop him. And I mean, because look what they did against one of the best defenses last Sunday, against Baltimore. I mean, they were going down the field and just literally just ripping the Ravens through the passing game. And I mean, hey, that's Matt Stafford for you, I mean, especially when you got Sean McVay too, who used to be a former Washington coach. Thanks a lot, Dan Snyder. But I mean, you're going to have to contain their passing game and their run game. Definitely going to have to get to Matt Stafford. And by the way, Jonathan Allen, I hope you hear this, because damn, boy, you ain't doing jack. You haven't been doing jack all year. You need to get to the damn quarterback before you piss me off even more, all right? Same thing with you, Deron Payne. We gave you that mega extension contract deal in March, and you haven't done jack. So, I mean, that's the way you have to beat them. And not only that, you have to take up clock. You really do. You have to take up clock against this Rams team, because if you don't, it's going to be bad. And then you're going to get a late Matt Stafford, last-minute drive, and then we all know how that goes. So that's the way you beat the Rams, and you have to get Scary Terry McLaurin involved too. Eric Bieniemy, thank you very much. Because if you don't, I'm going to get pissed off even more. But, yeah, that's the way you beat these guys on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Stafford last week against a Baltimore team who might have the best defense in the league in Baltimore. Goes for 294 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, only takes 2 sacks. And I also have Stafford on my fantasy team, so apparently I am rooting for the Rams, apparently, if you look at my fantasy team. But, yeah, Puka going off, Cooper Kupp going off, Kyron Williams going off. We're without Jamin Davis, without Brian Robinson, without James Smith-Williams. Sadiq Charles may come back. I doubt it. Tutu Atwell is going to be questionable, and Havenstein is going to be questionable. But the Rams have enough talent in that receiver room. Man, they still got DeMarcus Robinson. First of all, go Gators. Second of all, Puka and Cooper Kupp might, hot take, when healthy, might be the best wide receiver duo in the league. I'm not even saying that. So I'm not even saying that because we got guests on and I'm trying to sound smart, even though I'm really not. They're really good wide receivers. Puka is leading all of them in receptions, and I think reception yards, he might break 1,000 yards. And against this team, this is the team to do it. Yeah, might be the best wide receiver duo when healthy.
I don't know, man. I think Terry and Jahan beats him.
Stop it. You're damn right we do. Stop it. Stop it. But Jay guys, you were saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that they're definitely up there. I mean, you got, of course, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You got Jalen Waddle and, of course, Tyreek Hill. I mean, I think Justin Jefferson and, Addison are going to give them a run for their money. Ayuk and Debo are great. I mean, that it's tough because there's so many duos. When you get into trios, and if they just use Tutu Atwell more, I don't think there's a better trio in the league. I really don't. But if you want to say offensive weapon trios, there's not much better than Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, and Cooper Kupp. I really don't think there's much better. I think the only one you could even match up are the 49ers, with Ayuk and, I would say Ayuk, Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey over Debo. Because I think Kittle's probably the best of those, but yeah, it's a lot of talent in this league, and good thing that they found Puka Nacua. I will say, I don't think he'd be doing anywhere near what he's doing right now if he wasn't on the Rams. I think what can't be stressed enough is that while he makes these incredible catches, he does have some drops, had a really big drop in that game. But I think the thing with him is that he is schemed open so much by Sean McVay. Really good after the catch. He showed off some speed we didn't even know he had 2 weeks ago. And, you see it, the attention that Cooper KUPP demands, the attention that now K.WILLIAMS is demanding, Tutu Atwell with his speed. It definitely has opened up Puka Nacua a little bit. Now we're starting to see teams adjust and focus more on Puka, and it's getting guys like Demarcus Robinson more open, including their another fifth round pick, but fifth round tight end, Davis Allen out of Clemson. Been really impressed with him. Just kind of got thrown into the fire, last Sunday. And that was one of the best rookie tight end performances of a Ram, period. I mean, just the rookie tight ends really don't do anything on the Rams. So we'll see what ends up happening with him because Hunter Long's out for the year. He had a big role in the blocking part of his game, and Higbee can block. And Allen's not a great blocker at this point in his career. So maybe they move Higbee into more of a blocking role. And, with the way Allen played, they try to, use Allen a little bit more in the passing game. Not really sure, but this is the worst team to be playing right now. I'll just say that to you guys. To have to go to LA and right now play this Rams team, if you're looking for a win, it's brutal. The Commanders are giving up 40.3 points per game right now, which is last in the NFL over the last 3. They're averaging 87.5% of red zone trips, giving up touchdowns. That is 30th in the NFL. They're averaging 6.5 yards per play given up. That's last in the NFL. 376.3 total yards, 27th. Passing, they are 28th in the NFL, allowing 271.7 over the last 3. And I will say in the run game, 104.7 a game that they're allowing. It's 14th in the league. But context is very important here because a lot of teams are just throwing all over them because really, it even gets to the point where you talk about, bringing in your backup and you're still throwing because this team just can't, for whatever reason, when you have all of that talent. I don't actually understand why Washington struggles so much against the pass, but they do. Because I look at, Benjamin St. Juste and I'm like, talented player. I look at Emmanuel Forbes. I was surprised he's had such a rough year this year. Kendall Fuller, good player. Percy Butler, a guy I really liked coming out of the draft, and it is a little surprising. And Cameron Curl's more of a primarily a run supportive safety, but he's a good safety. So it is surprising to kind of see this team where they're at right now. It's probably for the best because, to be honest with you, you don't want Ron Rivera back. You probably shouldn't have brought him back this year, but that's neither here nor there. But I think the good news is, for your listeners, is that I think Washington has some serious talent all over that defense where long term, and, Alexis and I covered the draft like in depth and everything. A lot of these guys are guys that we liked in the draft. Martin, I believe, out of Illinois is another one too, where you can't forget about him. Forbes is going to be fine. It's a really weird adjustment for young corners coming out of college. It's one of the hardest positions to play. And to be fair to Forbes, it was a murderer's row of receivers that he went up against.
Yep.
You're talking about AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb. There was no stoppage. You know what I mean? It was just constant, number one receivers. You give him a lot of credit, shows the competitor he is, but a very, very thin frame. That was always a big issue with him. It's why a lot of people thought he'd fall to the second round. But when you look at those ball skills, once he gets comfortable, he gets confident again, those ball skills are going to emerge because he's not a reactive player. He's an instinctive player. And that's something that is very important when you have a young corner. As soon as you get him ready and he can really use his technique the right way, you can get a lot out of him. So I don't think, I think the sky's the limit with Forbes. I already know that people like trade him, cut him. He's terrible. You got to understand, like, these rookie players. I mean, there's another rookie that I think is an absolute stud and just is in kind of a weird position right now, and Will McDonald over with the Jets. It's just the way it is. First round picks, it's a crapshoot their first year. Some guys have great rookie seasons. Some guys don't. Quentin Johnston's story isn't written over with the Chargers, and I feel like we just need to do a better job of being patient with a lot of these rookies, because the problem is, first round talent or not, it's hard to play in the NFL, especially as a rookie. But then when you factor in the Puka Nacuas of the world stepping up in the 5th round as a rookie, it adds even more pressure on these 1st and 2nd round talents. So I think just in general, patience is key. I mean, you're never going to have a perfect prospect. Puka's not perfect. I believe he leads the league in drops, but he does a lot of things very well. And so it kind of, pushes that to the side. But I mean, look how long it took Sam Laporta to get going this year. And then he just shot off like a cannon. He wasn't right out of the gate killing it. It took him a little bit. And that's a position where it should take you way longer than it took Sam Laporta. So, it's tough. Plus the benching of Forbes, I just say stick with him. And I think he's going to be fine. And again, I said defense, but also the offensive side of the ball. I think Brian Robinson's emergence in the passing game is so impressive to me, because now it adds another layer, another element to that offense with Eric Bieniemy. I know he's out, but that's still a really talented running back that's better than maybe people realized he would be coming out of college. Yeah. Then, of course, you have Jahan Dotson, who, Dotson's a stud. He just isn't, right now he's not being used the right way, in my opinion. They're very much leaning towards, Samuel. And I'll tell you, right now, Curtis Samuel is a very talented receiver. I kind of think he's a little bit like a Deebo Samuel, like a diet Deebo Samuel, if you will. But he's a really talented receiver, but it feels as though they're forcing it so much to him, and it's kind of hurting the development of a Jahan Dotson here and there. And so, I look at Sam Howell. I think the guy can ball. I think he's going to last in the NFL. Does he end up being your franchise quarterback? I couldn't tell you. But I think there's a lot of guys here. Terry McLaurin, of course. The offensive line's the biggest issue. You shore up that offensive line, and, this team. And again, we're talking about a team that has 9 losses right now. If they were to somehow have this giant upset over the Rams, they'd be 6-9. It's not awful.
5-9.
5-9. Excuse me. It's not awful. It's considering you traded away your 2 best pass rushers at the deadline, which another thing. That's huge. So I don't look at Washington as they're done for. I don't even think they have to rebuild per se. I think they just need to add some pieces and get a new head coach. But whether they keep Bieniemy or not, I think you go out, you get a new head coach. You got some pieces here, and the new ownership is going to lead this thing the right way. I think really, once again, it goes back to the Dean Spanos argument. You've been plagued by bad ownership, and it doesn't just go away as soon as you get rid of him. It's still, it takes
lingers
a little bit to dissipate. So, yeah.
Lexus, your thoughts on Jake's soliloquy, which was good.
Well,
thank you.
I agree. And I also, there's a lot of players on your team that I really like. I went really heavy on McLaurin and Dotson on fantasy this year. I have 2 teams. I have way too many fantasy teams. I won't say how many, but I have too many. But I have 2 teams that I have both of them on my fantasy team. I've been disappointed to see, kind of as Jake touched on, the lack of usage in Dotson, because I like him a lot. And I just feel like, the Commanders haven't really quite figured out either how to use him or, for whatever reason, just aren't involving him, which I think is a shame because I think he's very talented. McLaurin, also, really good receiver. And then you add Brian Robinson into the mix. As a Rams fan, you never want to see anybody injured, but I can acknowledge the advantage that gives our defense when Brian Robinson isn't out there. So he's not going to be out there Sunday. That's certainly a weapon that you guys are missing, that I think would have, helped you guys a lot. Even Lane Thomas, I like Lane Thomas a lot for some reason too. I just feel like you guys have players that, I think are pretty underrated. And then kind of as we touched on defensively, maybe a younger defense, maybe still figuring it out. I'm also not quite sure why it's so easy to pass on that secondary, because there's a lot of players there that I like as well. But Chase Young, gone. Montez Sweat, gone. Montez Sweat now in Chicago, where I live. So I'm like, my second team is kind of like the Bears, just because everyone here talks about them all the time. And I've been hearing and seeing that Montez Sweat is doing really good there. So I know that was a loss for you guys. So yeah, I think it's, kind of as Jake touched on, could be worse. I know that when it's your team, it feels like it can't be worse. Jake and I are very familiar with bad Rams teams. Most of our life, the Rams have been bad. It wasn't really until the past few years that, the Rams were actually a good team, that I could remember. I don't remember the greatest show on turf or anything like that. I just remember all the misery. So it does get better. I think that the Commanders are on their way. How long it takes for them to get there is going to depend on who's, the next head coach. Who are some of these hires? What does Snyder do in the direction that he goes on? How far is he going to take the team? That can either, speed things up or hold them back. But I think that they're slowly but surely kind of like on the pace to getting better. I think you guys are probably going to end up drafting one of the best 2 offensive tackles in the draft next year, which I think is going to help, either in Fashanu or Alt.
Yes, please and thank you. If we could get Alt or Fashanu, please and thank you to the football gods. No, I can absolutely tell you why teams can pass on this secondary. First of all, Kendall Fuller, our best secondary player, is the decoy for the number 1 wide receiver. He gets taken down the field. Benjamin St. Juice, to myself, Andrew, Chris, and Tony at Protect Morse has labeled him as Saint Groupie, because he likes to grab at every single wide receiver and get every single pass interference call you can get as a defensive player. It's rough. Forbes, as you two have alluded to, and we've alluded to all season long, burnt, beat, and cooked. As my chef self would say, absolutely cooked, missing every ingredient but height. Although he entered the draft about 160, I think he's up to 180 right now. But he is given up 64.3 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 9 pass breakups, which is nice, but 3 touchdowns, and they're all to AJ Brown, who I have said is a top 3 wide receiver in this league right now. But you're a Washington fan. Sorry about it. He is. Our linebacking core, Jamin Davis is out for the rest of the year with shoulder injury. So you have David Mayo, Khaleke Hudson.
Hey, shout out to David Mayo. That's Justin's favorite player right there.
Yeah,
Cody
Justin
Barton.
And Cody Barton. No, is Cody back?
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, Cody Barton. So right there, that linebacking core tells you guys are going to be able to just go all over us. James Smith-Williams is out. So there was 1 edge rusher off the edge. Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne cannot get to the quarterback. All right, I can go play. I am 6'1", 300 pounds. I can go play defensive tackle better than them right now, and play offensive tackle. Your defense better be eating Sam Howell alive back there. If you guys have less than 4 sacks, I'm going to be a little disappointed in Aaron Donald and Byron Young and the rest of those, and Ernest Jones. I'm going to be a little disappointed because you guys should be able to eat these tackles absolutely alive. I think this is going to be a rebuild. Ron Rivera's will be gone. Jack Del Rio, Eric Bieniemy, Martin Mayhew, the GM, our linebacking coach better be gone. This is going to be a clean house. Harris, Magic Johnson, Mitchell Reyes, the whole crew is going to absolutely clear house going into the offseason. And I probably should calm down a little bit. I might need to take a little bit of drink. Because I just realized my blood pressure probably just shot through the roof talking about that. But that is what it is. But yeah, it's such a weird team. But like I said, you can absolutely throw damn the run. Just throw every team since our second Philadelphia game has just said, let's turn Madden on easy mode, play against the Commanders, and just said, let's watch the simulation. We have 4 wins. We're lucky we don't have 2 wins, or we don't have 11 losses right now. I said this time and time again. You could have choked against the Cardinals. You could have choked against the Broncos. You were I'm missing. You could have choked against the Patriots, and only reason why you beat Atlanta is because Desmond Ridder cannot throw the football to open receivers. Only reason why you won those games. You're lucky we're not at the Panthers right now. We're looking at the second overall pick, and we are very, very close to being that. But if we can take Joe Alt, Chris is in the boat if you take Brock Bowers. I am in the boat of you need to protect Sam Howell at all costs, or else he will have as many seconds as it is to have Nick Cannon have a new baby every 2 months to throw that football.
Sean, I'm with
You don't think that they
one.
would take a quarterback though if they were two?
No.
Hell no.
Easy.
I don't think
Easy
they
there,
will either,
Chris.
but I don't think that they will, but I've just seen a lot of like mocks where people still have them taking like Drake May or even Caleb Williams. If the Bears don't take, I don't think the Bears are taking a quarterback. That's my personal take. I really don't think they are. I think they're going to trade out of one, but if they stay at one, I think they're going to take Marvin Harrison. So then if Washington is at two, you know, some people think that they might go and take a Caleb Williams or a Drake May, which I don't think they will, but
the truth of the matter, whoever, if we drafted Caleb Williams, Drake May, James Daniels, whoever, and throw them behind our current offensive line, they will not be doing better than Sam Howell is right now. It's absolutely impossible. We have the worst offensive line in the league. I truly believe that.
Outside of the Panthers.
We're right up there with the Panthers, I think.
Yeah, we are.
I think Washington's the worst. I've seen the Panthers. I think the Panthers just miss Austin Corbett a lot. Washington is just bad. It's
And the Panthers are the same thing for Bryce Young. Like, I think Bryce Young is a solid quarterback who can do well in the NFL. But he got thrown behind a really bad offensive line and in a bad situation.
With no weapons.
Do that the same. With no weapons. We can't do that the same. We can't do the same for us. And Sam Howell has been crazy impressive for the situation he's in right now.
Yep.
So yeah, a rookie quarterback won't be doing better.
The argument for me against quarterback, and then Chris, I'll let you rebuttal, is you use up the rest of Sam's rookie contract. You have 2 more years of that rookie contract. You got to pay him less than $5 million those 2 years. If management says, "Hey, we'll use this next season to really evaluate whether the new head coaches, the new coordinators are, how Sam Howell is, his offensive line," cool. That is what I want, because I would rather invest in the offensive line, like Andrew said, than put a rookie quarterback back there and get absolutely killed. Andrew Luck 2.0, although Sam's going through it right now, and then use next year's draft. You have you're gonna have a few guys. You're gonna have a Shedeur Sanders. You're gonna have a Quinn Ewers. You're gonna have a Cameron Ward, a Jordan Travis, a Graham Mertz, a Jalen Milroe to go out and get. Because I'm a Florida fan, and I think Jordan Travis, when healthy, was one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I mean, I'm probably wrong about that, but that's just my personal take. Is use his next. You have $90 million in cap space. You have 5 top 100 draft picks, 3 in the top 40, and you could have another one if you trade John Allen. Honestly, use the next. You don't have to pay Sam Howell anything. That's why the Niners look so good and can go out and sign every free agent under the sun, because they're only paying Brock Purdy $960,000 before California taxes. So you're really only paying him $300,000 because San Francisco takes 60% to taxes.
That's true. No, that's the ingredient. You see what the Rams were able to do before they paid Jared Goff, and then immediately they paid Jared Goff. Jared Goff's play fell off a cliff, which wasn't something that the Rams accounted for. But then now, because regardless of his play falling off a cliff, now you can't get, Ndamukong Suh. Now you can't sign these veterans that you were signing before. Now you have to be a little bit different with the cap. You have to have void years. You have to trade instead of just signing it became really fascinating the way that they had to kind of work around it. And kind of similar to like right now, Stafford's deal. I believe the first 2 years it was about 20 million against the cap. I think next year it goes up to like 40 or 50. So that's why, like, when people say, "Oh, Mahomes is making this," he's not making that per year.
No.
Contracts work very differently than it's not just read it and that's what it is. if in like average annual value doesn't necessarily mean per year on the cap, it's 40, 50 million. 1 year, it could be in his contract, it's 15, because it's all, set up to accommodate for whatever goals or, plan of attack that they want to have. And, the Rams have actually done that quite a bit where they will have 3 void years added to the back end of a deal. And it allows you to kind of keep the costs down, so to speak. They also like backloading deals instead of front loading because, they front load a little bit. But like the point is, if you backload a deal, it hits you down the road. But right here and then you can go out. Now you have extra money to spend. So, they tried doing that to get Von Miller back. A lot of teams do that. But to your point, the rookie quarterback contracts are like gold in this league. If you can find, like, I would argue if you knew that Brock Purdy could play like this in any offense, he's the most valuable quarterback right now because he's on a rookie deal and you don't have to pay him anything currently. Now, I mean, one could argue it's CJ Stroud, whatever, but like right now, Purdy's not hurt. He's playing this week. Purdy's played in the playoffs, and again, to your point, Purdy's barely making anything. He's living with a roommate. You know what I mean? So when you factor that in, it allows you to go out and get a Chase Young. It allows you to go out and get Randy Gregory. It allows you to, make moves however you want to make them, Christian McCaffrey and so forth. So, I agree.
Hargrave.
Thank you. Javon Hargrave, Cleveland Farrell. I think Farrell was a top 10 draft pick to the Raiders.
Yeah, he was the 4th pick. That was the same draft. They drafted Crosby in, I think, the 4th round.
Yeah.
Crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe they picked Farrell anyway.
Yeah, that was the 2018 draft because it was him. It was, I think, Arnett, and I think it was Jacobs because they had like 2 or 3 first-round picks. I think that was a Jacobs year.
That was 2020.
That was 2020. That was 2020 with Daniel Jones.
My bad.
Jones was 2019 because he came out with Haskins.
Was he?
Yeah.
I just know Crosby was 2020 because he was on me and Jake's show.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said 2018. I'm looking over and I'm like, I didn't know Alexis yet, so I don't think that was the case.
Yeah. Jones was 19 because that was the year he went 6th overall. Haskins fell, and then Haskins along with us. Daniel Jones somehow still playing in this league.
You're right. He was 2019. So then it might have been 2019 then. I'm looking it up right now because I was very curious.
It was 2019 or 2020.
It was 2019.
2019?
Yep, that draft. Okay, it wasn't 2020. Farrell and Jones were 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
And Crosby, of course.
And Crosby. I just something didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Niners just have whatever reason. And honestly, contract talks. Look at like you saying basketball. Look at baseball with Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers.
$700 million.
But look like it's a crap ton of money. But look at the first 10 years: $2 million, $2 million, $2 million, $2 million. Next after those first 10 years, $68 million.
Yeah, I don't think baseball should allow it, but that's just me.
Baseball has no salary cap. That's why it allows players like that to sign big contracts.
Well, I'm not against the big contracts. I'm saying you shouldn't be allowed to defer a contract when, essentially the whole point of the stipulation was for the small market team. So they could still compete with the big markets. Now you have a big market using the loophole to take a small market loophole, make yourself bigger when, to your point, Chris, you don't have a salary cap. So that to me is ridiculous and egregious and shouldn't be allowed. But Rob Manfred is the commissioner of baseball, so that's why it's allowed.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, good God. Yeah, I saw that move and I was just, Alexis knows. God, we need to move topics right now.
I will move topics. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, I want to touch on this before we wrap up and talk score predictions. What are y'all thoughts about your backup quarterback and Stetson Bennett, a 2-time national champion with Georgia. You drafted him, I think, 4th or 5th round. Everyone's out of the draft. They're like, is he the successor? What is he going to do? I don't know if he is. I don't know if he's not. How do y'all feel about Stetson Bennett being your now QB3 because Carson Wentz is on the roster?
I don't know anything about Stetson Bennett, if I'm being honest. I haven't seen him play. Not since preseason.
Fair.
He's still on the NFI list, I believe. So he's not so he's not practicing unless, is that correct, Jake? I think he's still
he's not practicing.
So yeah, I mean, I haven't seen him play.
I don't know if he plays a down for the Rams, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't. I will say though, I was not a fan of drafting him at all. And that's on record. I was not a Stetson Bennett fan. I did not think that he should have gone in the 4th round. The college championship game, I thought that Duggan had more upside than Stetson Bennett. I thought Stetson Bennett just played on a far superior team. Not trying to knock TCU because they were very good, but Georgia was insane. And so my opinion, my opinion of Stetson Bennett was that he was playing for Georgia. So when the Rams drafted him for that reason and for some other reasons, I just was not a fan of it. I thought it was a bad move. I thought it was a massive reach. So that's whenever people ask me about Stetson Bennett, I can only give my opinion on what I know from college. Yeah. Because sadly we haven't had the opportunity to see him play for the Rams yet. And like Jake said, truly don't know if he will ever play for the Rams or in the NFL again. You know, we don't really know what's going on with him, but just obviously didn't turn out, the way that the Rams had hoped for. I don't know that they drafted him to be a successor though. Personally, I've never taken Stetson Bennett as a franchise NFL quarterback. Right. So I think that probably was a situation where the Rams were like, we really want him as our backup and we're just going to take him before anybody else can take him. That would be my guess on why he went in the 4th round.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Alexis was on that one. For me, I liked him. I liked where he was picked because I felt like I had a 4th round grade on him, 5th round around that. But there were other guys that I preferred, like, Jaron Hall. I really liked Aiden O'Connell too. Like, I just love that cannon arm. The one thing that scared me is he reminded me so much of Jared Goff. But I don't know. Last night or the other night, I mean, he looked pretty damn good. And like, I don't want to like knock on Goff. I mean, you would take a Jared Goff in the 4th round. It's just, when you've already seen the shortcomings and what led to him, getting traded from LA, right. You don't want to draft the same archetype of quarterback normally. So yeah, I don't mean to like hate on Goff there. It's just more so like kind of his mannerisms, like his motion, his pocket awareness and presence. Right. I just thought it was very similar to Jared Goff, but man, that guy's got a cannon for an arm. Like he throws it like, I mean, I would say he's got some Flacco to his game because I think a lot of people, like the misconception with a lot of people is that they think Joe Flacco is terrible. And the reason why Joe Flacco's out there winning games for the Browns is because Joe Flacco is incredibly gifted as a passer. He lost a lot of leg drive because of the injuries he's had, LCL, MCL, PCL, ACL, back surgery, things like that. But he really can drive the football. And when you have that rocket arm, it doesn't really go away. I mean, keep in mind, that's why we were talking about a guy out of, Delaware. We don't normally talk about Delaware quarterbacks, but Joe Flacco was something else. I mean, that arm talent was special. So yeah, I kind of see that with Aiden O'Connell.
Go Uncle Aiden.
Yeah, I mean, Aiden O'Connell somehow made the Raiders look really well. I mean, you could say, but they scored 2 touchdowns on defense. All right, so 48 points on offense.
Was that 5 touchdown performance? Oh, 4 because I think
4.
Myers threw the touchdown.
Yeah, Myers to I think it was Devontae.
Yeah.
Which is still crazy to think about when you have receivers just saying, let's try something new and dropping a 60 bomb. It's like, well,
I think it's even crazier every time I see Myers on the Raiders. First off, Myers is a hell of a receiver. Okay.
yeah. So
Devontae Adams nailed it. He's way better than giving credit for, and wasn't used properly in New England. That's first thing. The second thing is that I think of is when you watched him, like before he went to the Raiders, the thing that made him known was that lateral that lost them the game on the Patriots to the Raiders. So I've just never gotten over that, because especially when he went to throw the other night, I'm like, bro, this is the guy that gifted the Raiders the game when he was on the Patriots. They're going to overtime, and he had that awful throw, and it like that was the game. It's so fascinating. Like to this day, it's like they saw that and they're like, that guy needs to be a Raider. Like he gifted us that, he needs to be a Raider.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they went out and got him the following off season.
Yep.
I'll never forget that. And then of course now, he threw twice, I think, on Thursday Night Football too. So yeah, it's just it's weird every time I see him on cork when I'm like, that guy just that's how I see it anyway. But I think he's a hell of a receiver. So I had to give him a compliment before I gave him a little bit
fair,
like a backhand there,
Fair. I mean, it was a Jock Spadenos hire, and he loves his former Patriots, Dave Ziegler, Jimmy G. I mean, the Las Vegas Patriots, what you're building. Brandon Bolden, Jack Jones now in Las Vegas, and had
that was a crazy pick six.
It might be
like
might be
one hand.
Yeah, might be interception of the year.
It's up. I
put it up there.
It would definitely be up there because it's a pick six. I think it would probably win that. But I'll say this: Akello's interception against Joe Burrow was absolutely phenomenal. The dude did a full-on front flip and caught it over, I think it was T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, one of them. Yep. It was like absolutely fascinating play. That, and then I think that's all I could really think of. I mean, I'm sure Deron Bland, who has like 8 interceptions on the seasons, had a crazy one, but
yeah, it's weird. If you're a defensive player and you're not getting stashed, just go play in the secondary. You'll probably have a game or two.
Speaking of Akello, Sam Howell is a gunslinger. You better watch out for number 44. He's playing some of the best football any Rams corners played under Sean McVay. His statistical output, and you see it on film, it rivals Jalen Ramsey's best season as a Ram. Now, obviously, they're asking him to do a little bit less than Jalen was playing the Where's Waldo star role, where he was all over the place. But just looking at what Akello's done this year, it's actually kind of opened up other things for the defense. It's why since the bye, Ernest Jones is the best blitzing inside linebacker statistically. So, good luck with that. You have Aaron Donald bearing down on you. You got Kobe Turner playing just outstanding football as of late. You got Byron Young, even Michael Hoyt starting to come on. And now you got Ernest Jones up the C or B gap. And it's like, oh boy, and I think that's really the brilliance of Raheem Morris. It's one thing to have Aaron Donald, but to know how to levy that where you can take Aaron Donald and leverage that into something else, where you're not just taking him for granted. You're like, okay, well, Aaron Donald's commanding double teams. Why don't I get creative? Or if I know that Aaron Donald is going to command a double or a triple team and I want to get him a free release, off the edge, why don't I have him either run a stunt from the inside out or have him line up in a wide 9 set? And that's what we've seen. And I'll tell you right now, you might not want to see it, but it's a thing of beauty when Aaron Donald lines up as an edge rusher. I mean, it is a thing of beauty watching that guy jump off the snap. I mean, the hop step, the jump punch, whatever you want to call it. He's one of one, man. I mean, it doesn't matter how many sacks TJ Watt, Myles Garrett get. They play a completely different position. They have a completely different body composition. Aaron Donald is truly one of one. You have a guy that runs just, I understand he probably ran like a 4.6, I think it was at the combine. He runs like a 4.5 now.
He does.
He will chase running backs down to the sideline. It's, like I said, he's one of one. And I mean, the last time the Rams played Washington, it was in Washington. It was 30-10. It was on my birthday. It was 2020, I want to say. Aaron Donald had 4 sacks, and Troy Reeder had 3.
Don't remind me.
That game was crazy because Troy Reeder, by the way, just got on the Rams in time for this game because he was on the Chargers and I think the Vikings as well. And now he's back on the Rams. So 3 more sacks heading your way. You better watch out.
Jake, I'm wondering if you know anything about Andrew Wiley, our tackle. Do you know anything about him?
I mean, I know he was on the Chiefs. He's all right. I think obviously, you're gonna hold it against him the way they've played this year. But I mean, he's been next to Sam Cosmi. I mean, I can't stress this enough. And a great example, like last week, or just actually in general, left guard, for instance, Steve Avila on the Rams. Yep. He's having a better year than given credit for. And the reason being is because Alaric Jackson is not playing at the level that Rob Havenstein is at right. So when you have that kind of weaker link next to you, and I hate saying that because I know Alaric, I don't mean to hate on him, but the point is you have to have another guy alongside you. Otherwise, that weakness is going to kind of bleed into your play. And we saw that last week with Kevin Dotson at right guard. He's listed as the number 1 offensive line according to PFF. Like, period. Number 1 offensive lineman.
Out of their mind.
Right tackle, right? He's playing amazing. Right tackle, and Rob Havenstein is there. He's on the 2 are unstoppable. The Rams average more yards on the ground than anybody running to the right side right near them, right? Well, as soon as Havenstein goes down, and yes, they scored 31, and yes, they gave Stafford time to throw, and yes, Kyren Williams ran the ball well. It wasn't a perfect game for Kyren Williams. It wasn't like he was running through the seas were parting, every way. He had to create because that right side with Joe Noteboom was now not kicking ass the way they would without him. You know what I mean? The way they would with Rob Havenstein. Yeah. So it kind of goes to show you, I mean, going into this game, because Rob Havenstein, he's on the injury report. I think they sit him out because they got a game Thursday. Yeah. They put up 31 without him. But it goes to show you how important, he is. But to your point with Wiley, I mean, you got to have a guy next to him. And I think he's a talented tackle that if he had a really good right guard next to him, he'd be solid. I mean, I don't think he's anything special. I wouldn't be against replacing him, but he's somebody that's played meaningful reps on a Super Bowl team. And I'm not against trying to build like the offensive line. You can't just take a wrecking ball to the offensive line. You can't just take 5 new guys and throw them on there because you still have to develop. That's the thing. And Wiley's not necessarily a younger guy either, but when you look at the offensive line, it's like you can't just be like, okay, Charles Leno Jr., Chris Paul, Tyler Larson, Sam Cosmi, Wiley, just get rid of all of them and then start from scratch, because now you have to start from scratch. You do. It's like, you can't just draft these guys and just be like, oh, they didn't pan out in the first year. You have to understand something with this, the way the CBA is, you cannot get as many padded practices in camp as you used to back in the day. Yeah. It's why offensive lines back in the day, go watch Eric Dickerson highlights from, the 80s. Yeah. That offensive line with Dennis Hara, Kent Hill. Oh my God. They look so well coached. But I think really the fact is, and of course I can't forget about Jackie Slater at right tackle. The thing about how that offensive line, the reason it works so well, and other offensive lines in the 80s is, 1, they ran the ball a lot, right? So they had to be good at that. But 2, just think about when you didn't have any restrictions in practices, you can develop these offensive linemen. You're getting unlimited reps, unlimited snaps, unlimited opportunities. Now in the NFL, there's, they're going to be padded on Wednesday. They're not padded Thursday. They're going to be padded Friday. They're not going to be padded Saturday, Sunday. They're going to be padded Monday. Makes it really difficult.
It's awful.
And the offensive line, all you have to do is look at the XFL and USFL because you watch, those guys aren't even ready. You see like quarterbacks in those leagues and you're like, man, that guy can play. I mean, I watched Alex Magoo. He can play. My guy, Kyle Sloter, can play. I've watched guys that can play. Jordan Tamu. Yeah. But the offensive line in the USFL and XFL show you that today there's a lack of coaching. There's a lack of development. These guys are giving up quicker than first-round picks in the NBA.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, even just a few years ago, like Pat McAfee always says, the 2 days a few years ago, it wasn't that long ago. The new CBA only took over, 2015, 2016?
Yeah, and I mean, you saw a dramatic drop-off. Now no one wants to draft the tackle number one. Remember, it wasn't that long ago, Luke Jokel and Eric Fisher, 1 and 2. You won't see that again.
Yeah. I think the closest one was Andrew Thomas in 2020. He went, 5th or 6th overall to the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, of recent, I would say that.
Them, Evan Neal and Ike Ekwonu in 2022. 21?
Yeah.
2021.
No, but it speaks to a bigger issue, though, that, like, and that's the thing is, like, I understand, okay, you're not getting the production that you want. Like, Braden Daniels, for instance, he's a guy I absolutely loved in the draft. He's going to take time.
Yeah.
Offensive linemen aren't going to play amazing right out of the gate.
No,
immediately.
especially off injury.
No, absolutely not. Plus, he's a guy, he's like positionless. Like he can play tackle, he can play guard, but that like works against you when the team that drafts you doesn't have an idea of what they want.
It doesn't.
No.
I love the Ricky Stromberg pick. Best blocking center in the SEC, played at Arkansas.
That was my guy. I was bummed when he went off the board.
I was hyped because I was like, we need as much offensive line as we need help. And I loved it. And then you throw him in the first few weeks and gets absolutely blown apart. And now like exactly what Chris is about to do. His patented demonstration of just getting blown up.
Yeah.
That is the Washington offensive line, essentially in a nutshell, is on your back. And I won't be surprised if y'all put up 40 points. So speaking of points, score prediction, as we love to do here, I'm going to let Alexis go first because I am somewhat of a gentleman. So ladies always go first here. What is your, I try to be sometimes. What is your score prediction for this game?
Well, spoiler alert, think the Rams are going to win this game. And I think they're going to win 42-10.
God dang.
Just break our hearts.
Which, listen, I think that the Rams are in a position where they're playing better and they're playing hot, but I think they need to not prove something to themselves, but they need to keep going and building upon it. And this is probably a good game for them to do that because they've had some, setbacks throughout the season. And now that they're getting hot, I think they just need to build upon it. So I think they're going to take it out on the Commanders. That's just what I think is going to happen. But
yeah, I can see the 42. I'm sort of curious where you got the 10 from, though. A little bit, just curious.
Because this defense, the Rams defense has done a very good job this season, but they have their moments. Mm-hmm. You see it happen every game, 3 to 4 plays that are just absolutely dumb. And they do it. I don't think this game's going to be an exception because I think Sam Howell, like we talked about, Howell's, not playing that bad. And you got guys like McLaurin and Dotson. And I just think someone's going to break through, this defense. Like I said, I give them all the credit. I'm not trying to bash them, but they're going to make a mistake most likely at some point and have a play kind of like against the Ravens where you leave a wide receiver wide open. There's a lapse in coverage. The secondary doesn't understand what's going on. Very easily could see McLaurin or Dotson breaking through for a touchdown on one of those types of plays. And then a field goal because, the Rams kind of play, as Jake knows, that bend don't break style. So it's not that uncommon for the offense to, maybe get down to the 40, maybe get down to the 30, maybe you'll kick a field goal. So I don't think it's going to be a shutout. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a shutout, but I just think that at this point, just kind of with the way that the Rams defense is playing, I wouldn't be shocked to see Howell throw for a touchdown and a field goal will happen. But I do think the Rams offense is going to be pretty productive.
Yeah, I definitely am going along the lines of that. I have the Rams 38-13. The Commanders have failed to score 20 or over in the last 3 weeks. They've only won one game since they traded away their 2 stud pass rushers at the deadline, which again is just kind of a head scratcher to me, honestly. Just both of them, You're at 3-5. It wasn't the end of the year. I don't know, but they beat New England. That's the only game that they've won since they trade away all those. And I don't want to take anything away because the New England defense is really good, and to go on the road and beat them, that's a good win. But then they, put Seattle. They had them on the ropes. They were kind of screwed over by a really bad call late in the game.
I was there.
I'll say that.
Andrew was there.
You were in Seattle?
Yeah, I live here in a suburb of Seattle, so whenever they come here, we always go to those games. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, and that call was brutal. And then, you had the Giants game, which I don't even know what that was, but I guess that was just the Tommy DeVito coming out party. I mean, that was brutal. And then you had the Dallas game, which they came out strong. I thought they had a chance to maybe upset Dallas. Just kind of felt, I had kind of a different feeling going into that game. I thought Howell looked really confident early on, and then they just kind of deviated away from using the running backs in the passing game, which was kind of weird. And then Miami tries to blow everyone out. So,
Miami's Miami.
But the thing about the Rams is that, right now you're playing them at the worst possible time all season. This is a lot of Rams fans would say this is a trap game. I would push back because a trap game to me would signify that this team is a surefire playoff team. They have 10 wins and they're looking ahead. If you're looking ahead when you're not in the playoffs and you're below 500 in week 15, then you are not doing it right. And Sean McVay doesn't do that. Right. So they're not looking ahead. This isn't a trap game. I think the Rams are going to go in SoFi. They're going to take care of business. They got a 2-game stand at home to end the season. That's the end of their homestand. Like that is it. The next 2 games are it. So you want to finish those strong. Then you go to, MetLife Stadium and then Levi Stadium. You're going to have that mini bye in between. So I think coming off that Ravens loss, the way it happened, they're going to be able to channel that frustration, that anger, clean up some of the things, but also like you could really see this being like a nasty game where they just come out and they're firing on all cylinders and they're pissed, and you could see that they're pissed. This could also be a game where, they get way too full of themselves early on in the middle of the game and the Commanders stick around. But, one thing I think is going to kill the Commanders entirely from what I've seen is that even if they get off to a good start, the Commanders' second half offense is just dead. I don't understand what happens, but this offense just dies in the second half. And the Rams offense just gets better as the game goes on. In the second half, they're a top 3 offense. In the fourth quarter, they're tied for second in points per game over the last 3 games with Miami. I kind of feel bad for the Commanders because the last 3 weeks, you're playing the Rams now. You played Miami and you played Dallas. Those 3 teams I just listed over the last 3 weeks are top 3 in fourth quarter points, second half points, most offensive statistics. It's pretty crazy that the time that you got the Rams is right when they were peaking. And I mean, you played Dallas and Miami at the same brutal murder's row of games after playing New York before that. But I have 38-13. I think Stafford will throw over the yard. But I think people are sleeping on Kyron a little bit because I understand, the passing game is, obviously they struggle to stop it. But who's to say? And I know Sean McVay, I know how he works. Alexis, you know where I'm going with this. If the obvious thing is to throw the ball all over the yard against this team, Sean McVay will run the ball. Just like if the obvious team is to run the ball against the Saints because they are the worst defense against the run on Thursday night, make no mistake, Sean McVay is going to try to throw the ball over the yard. That's what he does. So I definitely expect him to run the ball a little bit more than other people. So look out for big number 23 or small number 23, however you view Kyren-Williams.
Yeah, I kind of need Kyron to go off without him also going off, because I'm gonna be conflicted going into Sunday. Well, speaking of murderous rows, before Andrew, I'll let you choose. Our last 3 games goes Jets, Niners, Cowboys. So there's
that Jets defense is gonna eat you alive.
They're gonna eat us alive. I would not be surprised if we get shut out against San Francisco, and Dallas is gonna absolutely shit on our parade. So. Yeah,
Yikes.
I've lost all confidence and faith. But Andrew, go ahead before I start crying on this recording. Andrew.
Hey, yo, Andrew.
Oh, did he freeze on us? Hold on. Andrew, what are your score predictions?
Awesome. So I have, shockingly, the Commanders winning 41-7.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
Wait a
we're
minute.
not doing that. No.
Wait a minute.
My honest score prediction, I would probably have the Rams at 38-21. I feel like we're gonna play them better than Alexis and Jake are giving us credit for. I think our offense is going to show up somewhat. I think the big issue with that might be our offensive line, and just giving Sam enough time to get rid of the ball, and then our receivers enough time to run their routes and get open. That's been a recurring problem. And then defensively, we're going to do what we usually do. We're going to let up a lot of points. This Rams offense, like we've been saying, is on fire right now. And I think that's only going to continue against our atrocious defense. So I have the Rams winning 38-21.
Chris, it is that time for you to give us some optimism.
Yeah. All right. Before I give my score prediction, let me just say this. We talked about a little bit of Chase Young earlier, and when he got traded, y'all already know my reaction on Chase Young and everything like that. Him here in Washington, he didn't do jack, so he wasn't a stud here or anything like that. Let's see what else. Oh, our second half offense. Yes, it has been a little dud this season. But I believe it will come alive in this game. In order to compete, because I mean, hell, it did it against Denver, Philly. It actually did it in both Philly games. To be fair, our defense, it's probably gonna look like some trash, like always. But I mean, when you have Ron Rivera calling plays, god dang, it's bad. We also had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I mean, hell, dude, we should be going into this game, and thinking, let's get a victory, the draft, honestly. I mean, a loss would be nice to help out the draft pick, but let's see. Y'all already know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
I'm going to take a 27-21 victory over the Rams. Sam Howell about to do Sam Howell things like he always does. Still top 5 in the league in passing yards behind the worst offensive line ever. And he doesn't have his running back weapon in Brian Robinson Jr., but he's got, Gibby.
Rodriguez.
I'm excited to see Gibby.
Rodriguez.
Gibby's going to go off.
Oh, and about Emmanuel Forbes, when we touched on him earlier, I'm going to say this. And, you know, Tony was on the podcast with us a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
We all said it before. Emmanuel Forbes low-key kind of sucks. I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care if he's a first-round pick. That if he is a first-round pick, that man it needs to be guarding real good. I don't care if he went up against A.J. Brown, who, by the way, A.J. Brown is Emmanuel Forbes' dad, pretty much. DJ Moore. I mean, god dang. Let's see, who else? He didn't face Tyreek Hill. I mean, but you know, the list just goes on and on and on. You know, so I mean, unless I see something out of Emmanuel Forbes change, I don't care if it's his first year or not, and rookies are like that. Unless I don't see something change out of him, yeah, I want him gone.
Damn. Just tell us how you really feel, Chris. Good Lord.
Damn, I really do, bro.
Good Lord. I'll wrap this up because I realized we've gone on longer than I had anticipated, but I've enjoyed every single thought from Alexis and Jake, so I'm not too upset about it. I do think the Rams win this game conclusively, but I am going to play the Chris card and say Washington wins. I'm gonna go. How do I want this to go? I'm gonna go 30-28 with an absolute 2-second 55-yard field goal out of Joey Sly.
From Joey Sly, yeah.
From Joey. For whatever reason, Joey Sly can hit these long, distant field goals, can kick an extra point to save his life, but can absolutely kick a 55, 60-yard for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a mental thing.
It must be. It's either got to be mental or he's channeling Cody Parkey. It's one of the two. It's one of the two. But that's going to wrap things up. Alexis, Jake, I can't thank you guys enough for coming on, staying up with us for, I think, just about over an hour. I had said an hour, but can't thank you guys enough for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Seriously, thank you. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe here on the video and here on the channel. Head over to Downtown Rams Network. Go follow them. Go follow Alexis and Jake, respectively, on their channels and their Instagrams. Links will all be down in the description. Shout out to the sponsors, Tone, Rio, Corey, and Washington the Daily for supporting us since day one. Sunday will be here as soon as we know it. For those who are watching this, whenever you say this, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah. If you are not Christian or Catholic, happy Hanukkah. And I'm sure I'm missing a few holidays, and you can roast me down in the comments. Rams will probably win, but hail to those Commanders, and don't forget to stay ballin'. We'll see y'all out there.